Blog Talk Radio.
Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
Those promos are getting weirder and weirder. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but welcome everyone to our Halloween edition of Sunday Night Dead. This is Matthew Slozer, back from a couple weeks off of traveling, and 1 week stuck out in the middle of West Virginia. Literally, saw a billboard near where my car broke down, and it said the geographic center of West Virginia. So, anyway, glad to be back. Happy that you guys were able to close out your weekend with us this evening. We have a great show lined up. We have Dominic Ferrante and Bill Freeman on tonight with us, and we're going to be talking about the D word. We're going to, in the spirit of the Halloween season, we're going to talk about some of the darker, spookier, and more malevolent sides of the paranormal this evening. As well as, I did happen to load up some of the weirder audio that I've had, at least the ones I could get access to over this weekend. to get loaded in to share with you guys in the spirit of the season. And because of that as well, I wanted to let you guys know that we actually booked a little extra time tonight, so we may run a little bit past the 10 o'clock Eastern time, and I'll share those audio at that point if you would like to hang with us a little bit extra time tonight. But let me bring on my co-host tonight, Mr. Tracy Todd, if my board will work. Tracy, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Doing great. Good to be back. Good to be actually doing the show from my house for once.
Well, good. We're glad to have you back.
Well, I heard everybody did a great job in my absence, so very good to hear. And heard it was a great show last week about Waverly with yourself and Luana on the show. So thank you very much for doing that, and heard it was a great show.
You are more than welcome. It was pretty cool, I have to say.
I want to definitely check that place out again. That was one of the first places, and I wouldn't even say I was really an investigator at the time of doing this. It was really when I was just kind of getting interested in this and wanted to see if there was anything to it. And so my brother-in-law and I decided that we'd just go ahead and book a trip and drive on out there and kind of check the place out. So all it was really me and a recorder and not much of a technique at that time, and still caught some pretty cool stuff. So I'd love to go back out there with knowing what I know now and see what we get. But any good activities this weekend? We're closing in on Halloween.
No, we decided to stay home this weekend. Next weekend we got our haunted thing up there at the Bellamy Bridge. The town of Marianna is doing a ghost tour down because it's like a quarter mile from the road to the bridge through the woods. It's all creepy and everything. And then once they get down to the bridge, we're going to be sitting there with our equipment set up. We're not going to do it with an investigation, but we're going to sit there and explain what we have done there, what we've caught, so on and so forth.
Oh, awesome. Well, we're going to be bringing our guests on in a second here. I did want to say that the scariest thing that I've seen this weekend so far, we did kind of our horror movie little fest here over the weekend with the kids. They're old enough now, and I know I've said on the show before that once I started investigating, I really stopped watching horror movies because I didn't need my imagination give me any fuel when I'm in the middle of an abandoned hospital. But I do waive that for the Halloween season. But I have to say the scariest thing I've seen the last 2 weekends actually has been my Eagles offense in the NFL. So, don't mean any offense. I tried to do a little drum roll there.
So
but
how did her robot thing go?
The robot thing went really well. It was pretty neat. My daughter was at one of those robot. It's called the Robot Run. I don't know if that's a national name for them or not, but she spent the day yesterday. It was a natural disaster theme, so they were trying to get these robots to knock over buildings and crash airplanes and uproot trees and things. It was pretty interesting, but yeah, it went well. She really liked the experience, and they have another one in about a month, and so we'll see how it goes. They were kind of middle of the pack competition-wise, but you know, it's the experience and being out there to be able to do things that's really what we're going after.
She built it herself?
It's a team. It's a team of like 10. But she was she was consistently one of the ones that was there, kind of setting it, positioning it, and driving it. So I'm not sure exactly, you know, the different makeup of the team skills there for it or not. But yeah, it went pretty interesting.
Sounds like she's going to be building your next piece of equipment.
Could very well be. I could use her because anyone that knows me knows she didn't get any of those skills from me because I'm. I know where my strengths are, and mechanical skills are not one of them. So, let's bring on our guest here. First of all, Tracy, you how do you know Bill Freeman?
Well, I met Bill. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say because actually you were the one who got in touch with him. So.
Yeah, I met Bill. I don't know, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago through Dominic, and I believe the story went to where I had a concern about something. I contacted Dominic, and then Dominic said, you need to call this guy Bill. So I kind of put it off, but Bill was actually on one of your shows. I'm almost sure, Matt, it was either your show or may have been George's.
I think it was probably either George's or when I was co-hosting a year and a half or so ago.
Yeah. So I listened to him then, and I'm like, I got to get a hold of this guy. So I did, and ever since then he's been on my speed dial.
Awesome. And Dominic Ferrante has been one of when I finally started deciding that I was going to kind of branch out in the internet world and try to get in touch with other people that are doing this. He was one of the first groups and one of the first people that I got in touch with and started following and started linking up. So he's been a good friend of mine and a good friend of my my team. And so
actually me too. That's the same way. When we first started our team, we contacted Dom, and Dom's been a big help.
Well, I'd say, the networking here is, that's why I'm always, more in favor of networking and working together as opposed to the drama and stuff you see out here, because you can meet some really, really good people. I mean, yourself, I got in touch with you through Rebecca Boyer, who I got in touch with through working at Trans-Allegheny. So, the more cooperative and the more you work together, you meet some really, really good people. So let's bring on our guests tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Freeman and Dominic Ferrante.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. Bill, Sensei, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, Dominic. Every day's an adventure.
Yeah,
Tracy, how are you, my friend?
Bill, I am finer than a frog's hair. And you?
All good, brother. All good.
Dom, how are you, buddy?
I'm so glad to be able to talk to Matt and Tracy. It's great to be on. Thank you for having me, and it's always good to talk to Bill.
Yeah, same here, brother.
Well, I wonder, a lot of times we get in these conversations and the D word, meaning, demons or inhumans come up through the course of the conversation, but we have rarely done one on, and I'm not going to say strictly demons here, but just we've rarely focused on the kind of darker, more troublesome side of this field, and kind of the investigations and things we run into that, while possibly rare, and we have the two of you on here because you have encountered and worked more in this area than a lot of the listeners, and certainly myself here on this. Wanted to kind of do a deeper discussion on this part of the field, but before we really get rolling here, for the benefit of our audience, Dominic, let's start with you. Why don't you give our audience a little bit of background about yourself and how you got started in this field?
Well, I lived in a house that had activity back when I lived in Michigan about 30 plus years ago now, and it always sparked my interest. My dad was a big influence. He liked things like UFOs. He was very into aliens, and the possibility of other life forms out there, and a very spiritual guy. So he got me into wondering about it, and then my wife and son and I decided that this would be something. I had joined another group, and I kind of see eye to eye with the leader of the group. So I said, I didn't like the way some of the things were, the way that were being investigated. So I thought I'd start our own group and try to do things differently. And it was a big learning process, and we've actually morphed into something even deeper and such. And a lot of the credit I give to Bill, because Bill has been a big influence and invaluable asset and friend to have in having to deal with negative types of things. There's nobody better to go to, and when you need help like that.
Oh, awesome. And I was going to say, Bill, how about yourself? How did you get started in this field?
Well, first let me say to you, I agree with you about the most horrific things I've seen lately is the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, being a Philadelphia boy and being a Philadelphia Eagle fan, yeah, it kind of breaks my heart seeing that. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Watched the Conjuring the other night, and the Eagles beat that. So,
I'll just look at here, Bill, for any of the listeners out here. Even though I'm out of Winston-Salem right now, I'm originally a Lehigh Valley guy. So 3 out of the 4 of us tonight are originally from the eastern or kind of southeastern part of Pennsylvania. So, hence the frequent references to how poor the Eagles had looked recently. But go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. I got my start when I was 14 years old. You know, back in the days, we used to, being mischievous as we were, used to run around. And State Hospital up here, Byberry, it used to have miles and miles of tunnels. And we were running around it, and I came around the corner one day and came to face with a full-body apparition. Not like most people that would turn around and run from it. I chased it. And I've been hooked ever since. I used to start out with a black and white Polaroid camera and a tape recorder, and got into that and really got involved into it. Started studying shamanism. I've been through pretty much every method I guess you could turn around and go for it. And I'm also pagan, so that plays a big role into it. So I started when I was 14 and never stopped. Learned and still learning.
Oh, interesting. Now, I got to say, I'm jealous because one of my favorite locations or things to investigate are hospitals or asylums, and I've seen lots of video and lots of pictures on the inside of Byberry, but it was long gone before I started, or was in the process at least of getting torn down when I started really researching this stuff. So that definitely would have been a place I would have loved to have gone into, as long as I didn't run into any of the other unsavory characters that at least the urban legends of, everything from guys running around with chainsaws to all kinds of stuff in that massive complex. But certainly a place that I would have loved to have checked out. What else? Any other experiences or anything else about you can share about your time checking that place out?
Well, like I said, I was 14. Yeah, Byberry, when the times we were running around there, the hospital was still active. Yeah, if we would have gotten.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were in the hospital when it was active. Okay.
Oh yeah. Like I said, being mischievous kids like the way we were, they had. Obviously the grounds were huge. They were super huge, and there was miles and miles and miles of tunnels that ran through the cornfields, ran through the hospital wings, ran through everything down there. We used to go down through a manhole and go and run around through them. It was always active. It was always active. Did try to get in there and to investigate. Obviously, I didn't do it through legal matters. It got me in trouble a couple of times. But we could never get permission to go in to do an investigation. But yeah, it was pretty active. They're building houses on the grounds where the main campus was at, and there's stories coming back now that people are having all kinds of incidents going on in the properties, and it's an over 55 community. So there's been some talk about maybe taking a team or two and going through some of the grounds and then investigating some of the houses in there. Because obviously when they tore everything down. The politicians for who they are and builders for what they are and things like that are real big into understanding what it means to cleanse an area before you start building onto it, or when you do build, clean it. nobody believes in that until crazy things start happening. Then they're like, well, what's this all about? What's happening here? So there's been some chitter chatter now amongst a few of the groups around this area that, we may be going in and doing something into that. I did get a phone call for it saying, you'd be able to come in and help out with us and try to help clean up some things. I'm always there to help out.
Oh, awesome.
So that's what we got going on there.
If you would like to give a call and talk to our guest this night or have a question for our guest, the number is 646-929-2384. Or you can, if you're in our chat room tonight, you can go ahead and send a question in on the chat, and we will relay that as well. Dominic, I'll start with you on this one here. So in your investigating career, what would you say was the first time where you felt you were really dealing with something more on the negative side, whether, truly inhuman or just evil, for lack of a better word, intent in an area? What was the first time you had encountered that?
It probably started about 2 to 3 years ago when we started investigating a girl named Amy's home, and Amy had been, I would say, oppressed. It's so tough for me to use the demonic word, but this was very, whatever was there, and we were able to get it out with the help of another person, and that was probably the first real serious case of a negative nature. We've had some mischievous and things like that, but nothing ever to the level of this where, people were getting physically injured. I mean, I ended up with a concussion from getting my head slammed against the wall. I walked through a doorway and I felt like somebody just took a shot at my mouth with a fist that split my lip, bleeding everywhere, and nothing around. Things were being thrown. It was quite interesting and at the time unnerving. I wouldn't say scary. I've in all the things that we've done, I've been startled and surprised and shocked many times. But you've got to kind of try to keep an emotional check on and not show fear when you're dealing with things like this, and not to feel fear and be secure enough into thinking you know enough to keep yourself protected and everything like that. But Amy ended up turning out to be a member of our group now. She's a valuable member, and then Bill knows Amy and everything like that, and Amy's whole story. And that was the first one. It was really, really crazy.
Now, had you had quite a bit of experience prior to running into this one, or did you have the misfortune of running into this one fairly early? I think you said it was just a couple years ago, so I guess as well.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a little while before, a while before this. I had been to places that had given off very negative vibes and things like that, but Amy's was the first place that we had the physical part of it, where you were getting. I mean, I had been scratched at other places and like that, but not, seeing people getting physically attacked and to the level of what was happening, and also seeing what I believe were a couple of true possessions while I was there, where one of people that was there, one of Amy's family members, his changed. Bone structure moving around. It looked like a face that was morphing into something else. And it was really something to see and witness, and you have to keep your wits about you and to be able to combat this the best way you know how. And that was kind of an interesting trial by fire. But one of the real truly interesting things about this case was just before this, we had a priest contact us, and he said that, I've had a calling to, get a hold of your group because you are going to face a lot of, your group has been chosen basically to face a lot of the nastier cases, and I'm supposed to, give you some advice if you need it, and guidance, and spiritual guidance if you need it. And it was basically right after that Amy had gotten a hold of us.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty strange.
Now, the incidents of that appeared to be like possession that you were seeing there, other than the bone structure changes and things, because I'm sure people, immediately, listeners out here that maybe, haven't been experienced in this area or anything, I'm sure they're immediately going to start thinking of like exorcist type things. What are the types of things did you see while that was going on?
We had there was, like I say, when you talk about like this person ended up looking like somebody completely different, and was just laughing, and his eyes were completely black, even though the white part of the eye, his eyes were, and he recoiled from holy water and any prayers that were being used at the time. He had some increase in strength, and it was basically, after I sat down and thought about it, after we did what we had to do, I thought, oh my gosh, this is just like something out of a movie, and it really was, and it's, a lot of people will say, well, you embellish, or that happens. This stuff does happen. People have got to realize that this stuff does happen, and I'll tell you, it's groups that want to deal with this type of thing had better do their homework, and person like Bill that you can sit there and call and ask, what should we do? Because I've done that many, many times, and Bill's always given me nothing but great answers, and he's helped us on a few cases that have really been some extreme cases, and it's amazing. It's like watching it's like playing college football and suddenly going into the pros, and you're playing with like John Elway or something like that. It's really something.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll add. I have a clip I'll play a little bit later, but there's one that I was on where there was physical things. The actual homeowner was, best way I could describe it, was launched backwards. Like if you can imagine, like walking down a hall and somebody just came up and kind of hit her under the chin, and she was launched up high enough that she wasn't a very tall person at all, but her knee banged the doorknob on the one door in the hallway. And again, there was nothing in the hall, nothing. She was just launched backwards that way. And when I came home that night, my wife was asking me how everything went, and I was like, if they were all like that, I would stop doing this in pretty short order, because it was highly stressful. I mean, it was able to get it resolved and everything, but I can't imagine, some of the things that you're describing here, because that one was stressful in its own right. Bill, kind of same question to you. What was the first time where you your first encounter with kind of the more negative side of things on an investigation?
First time, it's funny because I've been doing this for over 40 years. When I go back and I look, there's been so many of them. How do I pick the first one that I've dealt with? The first nasty entities that I've dealt with, the ones that they're the ones that scratch you, they're the ones that scream at you, they throw things at you. That happens a lot. People turn around and say, "Well, that's a demonic type of thing off onto it," and 99.9% of the time, it's nothing demonic. It's just somebody who's been pissed off in life is pissed off in the afterlife. And not saying that they don't do physical harm to people. They do. My first encounter with one, at first it scared the hell out of me. I just happened to be with somebody who, kind of edged me along a little bit, and showed, not to show fear onto it. And this one was where, a guy was getting beat up in his own home and things like that. And then we go away, and then as soon as we started, getting into an investigation, things started happening, things started getting thrown at us. We had a chair yanked out from underneath of us. I got bounced off a wall, and I asked for, I guess, probably about maybe 3 hours into the investigation before we were able to finally grab hold of something and calm it down and remove it. That was my first time dealing with something on a negative side. First, demonic. That one was pretty wild. That was after a few years of studying. I get a call to go out to look at something, and we get into the house. And what most people got to understand is when you go into properties, even though there may be some crazy things happening, most of the time it's not demonic. People want to throw that demonic word out there and just say it's demonic. True demonic is a completely different ballgame. Demonic entities that turn around and come in are deceivers. They'll act like a child. They'll gain your confidence. They'll love you. They'll stroke you and start doing things, and then all the obscene, crazy, nasty stuff comes out. It's not for everybody, and I don't suggest anybody to even contact we went into. It was actually myself and somebody else that went into it. I told Dom, I think Tracy knows the story too. I literally got my ass kicked. I was thrown off walls. I was bounced, thrown down steps. All kinds of crazy things. And people say, well, why did you run? Why don't you get out of there? When you're doing this, you can't run from it. Two things you don't do, you can't run from it, you can't show fear to it. And you say, not show fear when something like that's happened to you. Well, if you do it that way and you do run away from it, what's going to happen to the people that are living in that house? What's going to happen? Who's going to get killed if you don't turn around and take care of it? Like I said, the first one was pretty nasty. It actually took a couple of days to rid it, and that was pretty bad. Where I did get ribs broken, and a few other things ended up happening. You can get hurt doing it. You without a doubt you get hurt doing it. That was one case. And like I said, like Dom said too, he had a couple of cases that we went out to that were pretty strange, pretty fun to handle. So that's how that one goes.
Oh, now in addition to the physical things that could happen while you're there, any problems with team members or anyone associated with that, with health things afterwards.
Yeah,
I've heard some stories about, there was one that we had a guest on talking about this apartment complex where people were consistently getting sick and basically all eventually dying, but it was very, very weird circumstances and weird activity there. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
That does happen. If I go out to something that I know that's really, really going to be bad, I'm very choosy about who I take with me. Because sometimes there's been times, well, Dominic could probably tell you, Trace could tell you too. When you get into something like that, it beats the hell out of you. Sometimes it takes me a month to recuperate from it. So you just get physically and emotionally drained. Can you get sick from it? Yes, you can. It's a poison. It's just like any other poison, any other toxin. It can kill you. It can make you very, very, very sick. The things that go on, that people, coming up with these strange diseases, coming up with, somebody who's completely healthy, comes up with this crazy cancer. Sulfur is something else that turns around that'll poison you. Can it make you physically sick? Yes, it can make you physically sick. You sit around and you hear stories of doctors saying, I don't know what the hell's going on with this person. I don't know why they're so sick. You know what I mean? And it does happen. And you got to be real clear about what you're looking at and what you're saying. You take somebody who is violently sick. There's things that I could do to help those folks, to help that a lot of people can't do. And that comes under the shamans, shaman studies, where you're using different herbs and things like that. You're saying different prayers and just chanting over them to remove that negative out of them. And most of the time, that's what it is. It's a negative that's latched onto them that's making them sick. So that does happen.
Oh, awesome. Tracy, got a question for our guests?
Yeah, well, just listening to what you said there, Bill, about the doing the cleansings and stuff. So do you feel that demons and dark forces can be removed? I don't know, with things like Reiki, prayer, salt, sorcery, energy healing, positive thinking?
Tracy, you and me have talked about that before. There's things that you could turn around and do, to make things very, very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable for a dark entity to be in there. And same thing with demonic. There is, obviously, me being pagan, there are different herbs, there are different incenses that I use to turn around and do it. We talk about holy water. On the pagan side, there is a holy water that, I charge myself and I take care of it. Crystal, a lot of crystal energies will absorb negative. And then once you get that, once that crystal, you take a clear crystal, once it smokes out, you bury it with some salt next to water. Salt works as a cleanser. Black salt is, which Dom could probably tell you, I'm a very big believer in. Black salt is something that absorbs and repels dark energies. I believe that any investigator that you do, I think every investigator should go in, put a pinch of black salt in their shoes when they go into it, so you don't get an attachment when you walk out. When you leave the premises, before you walk off the premises, you take your shoes off and knock the salt out and leave whatever that you obtained from there, you leave it there. So do I believe in that? Yes, I do. Reiki healing, it's something that I'm aware of. Have I ever studied it or ever looked into it? I had never done it. There's a couple of people on Dom's team that are true believers in Reiki. I can't speak of it because I don't know that much about it. I've never really looked into it. Obviously with witchcraft there is, obviously there's a lot of things that we could do on that side of it. Dom goes more on the religious side of it through prayer and through religious artifacts. Both work. It's been proven both work. Some people say, well, does one work better than the other one? Yeah, I'm not going to get into that debate. That creates drama. What works. If it's working for you, then you keep up with it and you keep using it. So
Right. Dom, I have, here's one, I have a question for you, Dom.
Okay.
Do you believe that, or get your opinion on this, that only atheists or non-religious people or sinners can pick up spirits or demonic forces attached to them?
No, I believe that anybody can. I am a very spiritual person. I take my religion very seriously. I've had attachments to me. You got to realize that when you're dealing with, let's call it the underworld of the spiritual realm. Like Bill said, they're great deceivers, and there's basically 3 steps into when if you're talking about demonic, there's infestation, there's oppression, and then there's possession. And in the infestation stage is where you're going to get these things that attach to you, that are trying to break down into your psyche. And again, anybody can get something attached to them. You try to protect yourself. And I go around and I practice my protection all the time. And so I believe I'm pretty protected. But I've gotten affected and at certain places I've had an attachment to me before. I don't think that it's only atheists or non-believers. I mean, you've got to remember that even according to the Bible, Satan came to Christ while he was in the desert, offering him food and the world to him. So if a demon or the devil or a negative entity come up to Jesus per se, why wouldn't he be able to come up to anybody else?
Right, I hear you. So you about you're familiar with Reiki?
Yes, I'm a level 2 Reiki practitioner. I'm going to be going to be doing my master's, going for my master's certification soon.
Oh, wonderful. Can you maybe explain to us how you would use Reiki to get rid of or dispel one of these evil things?
Well, what you're trying to do is you're flowing positive energy, okay? And I think of it as God energy. I believe it comes from God. It's positive, pure energy, and you're basically just a conduit for it. Now, you do learn to feel people. If you grab them by the wrist or something like that, you can feel the energy going through them. You can feel if there's a couple of conflicting energies, or you can feel if there's no energy. If what you're trying to do is open up their chakras and everything like that to try to get them flowing again. And what you're doing is you're flowing positive energy into them while you're taking the negative out, and that's why we shake it off as we're doing it, because you'll get your hands will start to tingle and feel like pins and needles and things like that. It's a wonderful tool. I don't think it's that's the only way you can do it, or that alone will do it. I think you can use it very effectively in conjunction with other methods too. See, like how Bill does a lot of what he does, and he bases his on his pagan beliefs, which I've absolutely no problem with, and I've seen them work, and they're absolutely amazing. And I use a lot of what he uses and he's told me about. But I also come at it from more of a traditional. And I was born and raised Catholic. I have some fundamental differences with the Catholic Church. just in certain areas. So I became an ordained minister. So what I do now is I come at it mainly from the Catholic point of getting rid of something, and I believe that you can use other things besides that, like I said, and kind of make it almost like you're making something that's real strong even stronger,
Right.
that type of thing. So, I believe that, it's all, for me, it's all God-based, and it's, and that to me is it's so completely powerful, and, I believe that always good is going to triumph over evil, even over time. In history, it's been shown that way. Even Hitler, Napoleon, things like that. They may have their times of prosperity, but eventually good overcomes. And that's why you can always, I believe, you can always win the battles. It may take a toll on you, and it does. It really, really does. I've been cases like Bill says. It takes you, weeks to get over.
Right.
And Bill knows, much better than I, because he's faced this type of stuff a lot, longer than I have. He's
right.
a lot more knowledgeable on and I'm trying to catch up, but I never will.
That's why he's on my speed dial.
Bill's like my Encyclopedia Britannica. If I need something and I need to know about something, he's the first one I would call, because he's
right.
a wealth of knowledge, and how can you not use that as an asset, especially, and he's a nice guy too, so it's fun to talk to him.
No, don't say that too loud, Dominic. Don't say that too loud. I have a reputation to keep.
And he rides a Harley. Yeah, can you disagree with a guy that rides a Harley?
Oh yeah,
not a lot of Harley. I ride a big Kawasaki.
Oh, well, that's all right. I won't hold that against you. But I got a couple more questions, and then I'll turn it back over to Matt. So, Dom and Bill, do you guys feel that when you're cleansing this type of demonic force, do you think it must be a hands-on process, or is it something that, let's just say, a psychic can call you 3,000 miles away and say she can do it?
That's been something that's been brought up before. It's when you're dealing with something, if it's something that's truly demonic, that is definitely a hands-on. That's something you got to deal with it pretty much, as you can turn around and say, a face-to-face type of battle. And we use the word cleansing onto that. It's really not a cleansing; it's a removal. You cleanse a house, but you remove the nasty. I have nothing against psychics. I have nothing against anybody who's into this. What works for you works for you. The many years that I've been into this, I've seen people try to do things in completely different ways. I've seen people try to do it long distance, and when they try to do it long distance, it creates more of a problem, because now when you're trying to do something, you're given a gateway and you're given a line to go from one place to another. Now you got two places that are affected by it. I am definitely not a believer in saying I have somebody in California who turns around and says, I'm a psychic exorcist. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do this. No, you're not going to do it for me. I've seen too much damage that happened. I've seen something that if I'm dealing with it on a one-to-one basis, that I'm going to take care of it. And I'm not going to say that all cases you get to take care of, because there's some cases that you got to fight, and something that even myself may have to make a phone call and say, look, I need help with this, and get somebody else to come in and turn around and help me with it. Long distance cleaning, no way. And like I said a couple seconds ago, it's not a matter of cleansing; it's a matter of removal. It's a matter of turning around and getting this thing out and encasing it somewhere. And that's a real big factor when you turn around and look at it. You hear people turn around and say, I got rid of it. Well, what do you mean you got rid of it? How did you get rid of it? And what did you do to get rid of it? I said, did you just blow it apart and send it back out, to go affect somebody else? Or did you lock it into something? Did you put it in a vessel that you turn around and keep it there? Would you tell me what you did? You know what I mean? So it's definitely, with me and all my experiences, it's definitely a hands-on experience. You have to do it hands-on.
Right.
Well, I agree with Bill completely. I believe that in preparation for going to wherever you're going, to the house or to the place that you need to go to, or the person that you need to go to, I'm a big believer that remote prayer can help jumpstart things, but to truly try to get rid of something or rid the person of what's afflicting them or whatever is afflicting them, you have to do it hands-on. It's not something that you can sit there and I'll challenge anyone that says they're a remote exorcist, and just to, because I don't know, I don't think that you can do that without coming face to face with the enemy. You have to be able to engage the enemy and engage the enemy on a more intimate basis than being on the phone saying, oh, I clear you of all negative spirits, I clear you of all evil spirits. I mean, what's that going to do? You've got to get down kind of in the trenches and fight them. You really do. It's a battle. It really is. It's not something that is for do, and it's not something for every person to do. Our group, there's only like 3 or 4 out of our group that we would allow to go on these types of cases. Because not that I don't have confidence in my group, but there's people that are just, not as, spiritually strong, I think, is a good way to put it. And I think it would affect them differently. I think they would have a little bit more problem with what's going on. And it's not that I disrespect them, because they're great investigators. They're great at helping, clear, just run-of-the-mill types of things, and spaces. But when you're talking about getting a very serious case, you've got to be able to be sure that you're bringing people with you that are going to not be affected, or if they are affected, that will be strong enough to know they have to leave the house at a certain time. To walk out and say, I need a break or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a fight. It really is, and that's why, I try to tell groups when I talk to them, or I tell people that have called us that said, yeah, we had a group over, and they said, oh yeah, you have you definitely got something here, and it's you're haunted or whatever, and see you later. And they don't offer any help. And that's one thing that I think is tough. If you're going to do this type of thing, you can't stir something up and then just leave it to deal with, with the person or the residents of the home to deal with it. You've got to have a plan to help these people, because otherwise you're just, you know, it's terrible. You're stirring something up and then leaving them the mess to clean up.
Right. Well, my last question, and I'll turn it over back to Matt, is, you know, when we sit there and we have these discussions about evil, demonic things, you know, one of the things that always comes up, I mean, I could be sitting there discussing our team, you know, with a group of people, and the question always comes up about the Ouija board. So what I would like to do is get both of you guys, get your thoughts on it, and, you know, do you believe that it's an actual tool that brings in demons?
Yes. If you want the short answer, I've actually seen it be the cause of things. Now, it's not necessarily, and people say if you can use it, if you know how to use it and you're using it correctly, it can be a good tool. Me, personally, I don't believe that. I don't think they should be sold. I think that it does open up, you know, a channel or a portal or a passageway, whatever word you want to use, and you don't know what's coming through there. You know, you could think you're talking to your Uncle Fred, and, you know, if an evil entity, evil non-human entity, or demon, something like that, is going to know more about your Uncle Fred than your Uncle Fred knew about Uncle Fred. Okay? And that's where you get the problems with these things. As you get these demonic spirits, these negative spirits are liars. They're going to tell you there's something they're not to gain your trust. And then by that time, it's too late. And I think that a lot of these problems are brought on by, like, the Ouija board. And I saw a picture on Craigslist, or not Craigslist, on Facebook, about, you know, of a Ouija board that's like all pink and frilly and stuff like that, and it's marketed towards, like, little girls. What are these people thinking? And I have a problem with the angel boards too. The angel boards that they've come out with now, with pictures of angels on it and everything, but it's still the yes or no and all the numbers and the letters and everything like that. And it's no matter what you're doing, dressing up something like that, you're still creating a connection to the spirit world, and you don't know what's there and what's waiting to come through. It's like getting a knock on your door at 2 a.m. and just opening the door without looking through the peephole or turning on your porch light. It might be your neighbor who's, you know, hey, I locked myself out of my house, or, you know, or something like that. But it could be a guy with a mask and a gun. You know, you don't know. That's why I don't think I am very against Ouija boards. So now that I've said my piece, I'll let Bill do I'll let Bill respond. I'm very passionate about them.
Dom and Tracy pretty much already know my feelings on the Ouija boards, but a Ouija board to me is definitely a no-no. You know, people turn around and say, you know, there's an investigator out there whose name floats around a lot, and I hear his name here and there. He turns around and says he uses one all the time. He has no problems with them and this and that. The problem with a Ouija board is when you turn around and you open a porthole, which you're doing. You know, it's been argued that how you open up a porthole. Well, anytime you try to use any kind of a tool to speak to the spirit world in any way, shape, or form, you're opening a porthole. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're opening a porthole. Now, the problem that comes into it is you may get Aunt Susie, Uncle Fred, you know, Pop John, or whatever that may come through and talk to you. It could be some demonic that's turning around, like I said earlier. That demonic is all deceiving. They'll play you out and stuff like that. But that's not where the real issue comes in onto it. I mean, we know that and really feel that. The problem that comes into it is you don't know what came through that porthole. Something slides into that porthole and comes in, and now it's in the residence where this Ouija board was at. This freaking thing can sit there for 2, 3, 4 days before it makes any kind of motions. It can sit there for a month. It can sit there for a year, and all of a sudden it's going to make itself known. And that's where the problem with the Ouija board comes into play with it, because you can't control what's coming through there. I use witches boards. Witches boards are very controlled. They're very, it's a self-centered, and it's very, very controlled. It's a gated porthole that is controlled. I don't have to worry about something coming through it because you can't get through it. You come to the board, and that's as far as you get. You're not going to escape it. A Ouija board you can't do that with. A Ouija board you cannot put a protection onto it. They say there's a right way and a wrong way using it. No, there isn't a right way or wrong way using it. As soon as you put your hands onto it and you open that porthole is open. Anything can come through that porthole. Anything. You may not hear it, you may not see it, and like I said, it can go on for a year before it makes itself known to you. And now you got a problem that you got definitely a no-no. With that, I'll argue that with anybody, that a Ouija board is a no-no. I would challenge anybody to turn around and stress to me that Ouija boards aren't dangerous. You have to prove to me that Ouija board's not dangerous.
So what is it about that particular Ouija board that makes it that way?
Well, it's like I said, Tracy. I just said. It's a tool it's like any other tool that we use, right? It's like any other tool that we would use. Like I use my tools are herbs. My tools are herbs, are incenses, oils, crystals. They're my tools that I use when I'm doing an investigation, when I'm doing a cleansing, and when I'm doing a removal. A Ouija board is designed for one thing only, and that's to contact the afterlife. So anytime you use a tool that for that to turn around and open it up, and just like I just got done saying, you're opening a porthole. You open a porthole. Say, my mother's passed for almost 10 years. I touch a Ouija board. I want to see if I can contact my mother. Okay, the porthole's open. The gateway has been opened. Anything can come through that porthole. Anything. You can't control that. Anything can come through that porthole. My mother may come through. But then again, I might have the son of Satan coming through. You can't control it. You don't know what's coming through it.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's funny because a lot of people that call themselves demonologists and things like that, and a lot of Christian, especially Christian fundamentalist demonologists, believe that every intelligent haunting is demonic. I personally don't believe that, but you can make an argument that even if you're a investigative team and you're saying, okay, you walk into the building and say, if there's any spirits here, can you make contact with us? You're basically inviting anything there or anything to make contact with you, okay? And I generally don't believe that way, but there's people that make arguments that way too, that's almost the same thing as using a Ouija board as by trying to make contact when you walk into a room and you say, okay, I've got a reporter here, anything that's, here, or can you talk to me, or can you make this move, or something like that. It's a very slippery slope, but I'll tell you what, the Ouija board is something to stay away from.
I'm going to interject with that. I'm going to interject in that just a second on that. When I hear that, when we walk into a room, when we're doing an investigation, and we are saying that I'm here, I'm doing this. It's not a fact. You're not opening a porthole onto it. You're inviting whatever energy's there to come out and to show itself. You're inviting it to come out to make itself appear. And again, it comes into play where obviously, I'm a firm believer that before you go into any investigation, that make sure you have yourself protected. Whether you bless yourself with holy water, you put black salt in your shoes, you cleanse yourself with sage or cedar, and vice versa when you're leaving the property. But 9% of the time, when you walk into a property, if there's a gateway or a porthole already open and there's something already there, it's already there. When you turn around and you're asking to communicate with it, you're not opening a porthole. The porthole's already there. All you're trying to do is find out what the energy that's in there, how to come out and see you. You're inviting it to come out to speak to you. You're not inviting it to take over a property. You're not letting it slip through something. It's already there. You're just bringing that energy forward to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, I was making the case that that there are some people that believe that doing what teams do on an investigation is very similar to a Ouija board. I don't believe that, but I believe you do have to, like you said, protect yourself and be careful of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Know what you're doing. I mean, any 5 idiots could go out and buy a voice recorder and go into a place and try to do some stuff. And believe me, I was one of those idiots when I first started, And I learned trial and error. I've made my mistakes. I've learned from much more experienced investigators and people I respect and trust, like Bill, and there's others in this field that I've learned from. And, if you're thinking about doing something like this, don't be afraid to contact people that are reputable and respected in the industry and ask for help, because, most of us would be happy to give any advice we could to anybody new,
I encourage it.
The first piece of advice would be, don't do it,
That's one thing I encourage. It's even through like the MPA and whatever else I'm onto, I encourage people that, and it's happened. Where I've had people turn around and contact me with different things. Like obviously Dom, Tracy, you guys have. One quick little story here. There's a team that there's a guy, a fellow that the three of us do know. I don't know if you know him or not. Who's an investigator, and we did a show one time. We're sitting there talking, and we got into a thing. He's talking to me about dealing with negative energies and doing this and that, and going back and forth onto it. There was a little bit of non-belief. I guess I could turn around and make it nicely that ego, I guess, may have gotten in the way of what was going on with it. I guess about maybe 6 weeks after me and him had this chat, I get a phone call. I need help. And I said, what's going on? Well, this fellow went and did an investigation and, didn't believe in protecting himself and, and going on this and that. He ended up getting a broken arm, busted ribs, busted his leg up. He really got his ass kicked. And it scared the bejesus out of him. And I don't think he's involved in it with it anymore.
Oh, wow.
So this stuff is very, very, very real. I've said it before. Trace, I said it with you, and I said it with Dom. You get these kids, you get these people that turn around and want to come in and be investigators. The Casper type investigations are fantastic. It's like I said before. I would love to get out and just do a Casper type of investigation where it's friendly, it's nice, it's this, it's that. It's very rare that I do get them. The ones I get are usually, most of the pretty nasty stuff. Usually the calls I get are referrals from other teams saying that this is a guy you want to talk to. And you get into it, you're going to get hurt. Sooner or later, you're going to get hurt. You could be doing this for 5 years, you could be doing this for 10 years. That 11th year, you're going to go out. I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt. And that's where it comes into play. Before you get into it, know what you're doing. know how to protect yourself. When something does go wrong, if you don't know what you're doing and don't know how to correct it, do not run away from it. Call somebody that can help you. Don't make the problem worse for the client that you're dealing with. Don't make it worse for them. Make a phone call. My phone's on 24 hours a day. I have no problem with anybody calling me up and asking me for advice or helping. If I have to go out to help, I'd be more than willing to go out and help. Be careful what you're doing. Sooner or later, you're going to get hurt. There's one guy who says, I've been doing this for X amount of years. I've used a Ouija board. I've done this and that. Never had nothing happen. Something, I have a hard time believing you. You know what I mean? I'm going to call you out. I have a hard time believing you. I've been into this, like I said, for over 40 years. I've got my ass kicked. I can't tell you how many times. I got busted up. I don't know how many times. Dominic, you've gotten busted up. It's something that that it's real. It's very, very, very real. And when you turn around and you're getting yourself slammed up against the wall, or you're getting yourself thrown down a flight of steps, or you're getting something that's thrown at you, and you look, nothing there. How are you going to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to deal with that?
One thing I will add to what Bill said is you've got to realize that when you go into these houses and you're doing something, there are always consequences, and you better know how to deal with the consequences of what your actions are, and of what you have, what the results of what you are doing in the house. You better know how to deal with it, because you cannot leave these people, messed up and even more scared and more in danger when you leave. That is the primary thing, is when you're doing something like this, Bill's putting his life on the line to help a person. To sit there and break a demonic oppression or possession or a negative entity from them, he's risking his ass every time he does that. The same as I'm doing when we do this. So we know, and, Bill better than I, but we know that there's consequences to everything we deal with. So we have to know how to deal with the consequences on the fly to fix them. So if you don't know, if you haven't done a ton of research into this and have, and you say, well, you know what, I really want to be a demonologist. I saw that movie, The Conjuring, and it would be so cool to be Ed Warren and everything like that. Yeah, you know how you go read the book The Demonologist about Ed and Lorraine Warren and realize what they went through and how much they actually sat there and prepared. It was almost like their whole lives were destined for that. This is a calling. This is not this is not a fun thing to do. This isn't a weekend pastime or a recreational thing. If you're going to do something like this, you have to have a real calling, because you're going to get messed up, and you know what? And it's gonna affect you, and it's going to affect you in ways other than just what happens to you when you're there. These things they know when you're coming. They know, when somebody contacts you, they hear it, they know it, and they know you're coming, and they'll start screwing with you even before you get there. So you got to be very careful. So I caution anybody that wants to even think about getting into this type of thing where you're trying to do, and what I consider is God's work. You're trying to be an instrument of God to try to help these people be ridded of these nasty things. You better be able, you better be pretty darn sure you're called to this, because you can't go into it with half a mind and half cocked and everything like that, because you're going to get yourself hurt and you're going to get somebody else hurt. I
want to add a little bit more to that, too. we've talked about this many times that people think the TV shows that are on, like Paranormal Witness, Ghost Adventurers, Ghost Hunters, and things like that. The only good thing that these shows have done is brought the paranormal world more into an acceptable light. When you watch these TV shows and you think that's what this is all about, you go in there and probably one of the worst guys that I've ever seen on TV, and the one I probably despise the most on TV is probably Zach. It's demonic. It's this, it's that, and you pump his chest and everything's demonic. And same thing like when we went to Bob Mackey's, the gateway to hell, demonic, and we know that's all garbage. Don't think that that's what this is. When you watch these shows, don't think that, I heard that knock, I heard that footstep, I heard this, I heard that. It's not about that, man. That's not what that's not what this world is about. There's things that the things go bump in the night. Will scare the hell out of you, and you have to know how to deal with this. I never stop studying. I learn. There's people that I go to, like, Tracy comes to me, Donald comes to me, other places come to me. It's pretty funny when I got to take a step back and I got to go to somebody, and I will. My ego is not that big that I'm saying, I'm the number one thing out here. I'm not. And there's things that I still don't know. And there's things in this world that we'll never get to know it all. But you definitely don't think that you're going to be a weekend warrior and get into this. Because, like I said, you go 1 year, you go 5 years, you go 10 years where nothing really happens to you. That 11th year, you're going to get your ass kicked. And you better be prepared for it. And you better know how to handle it. And you better know what to do once that happens. Quick little story. I let my ego get in front of me one time. Not too long ago. In fact, Tracy, the last time I did your show, I was just coming out of it. I actually did a cleansing for a guy who was a friend of mine. But I went by what he was turning around and telling me. And I said, I got this. It's nothing. It's a nothing thing. I'm gonna bang this out with no problem. I go to the house and do the cleansing, and it ended up being something completely different than what I was led to believe that it was. My fault because I didn't check it out. I didn't investigate it. It was definitely my fault all the way around. I let my ego get in front of me. I got an attachment that put onto me that tore me down. And you have to, and that's something else that you got to know is when you have an attachment and know how to cleanse yourself and how to get rid of that attachment. You start getting into things where you're starting to get aggressive with people, or you can't get out of bed. You're just so worn out that you don't want to move. These are things that you have to understand too, and you have to know that this is what's happening, and then you better know how to fix it or who to go to fix it. That was like, I think I told Tracy probably about a good 2 months, good 3 months, where I wouldn't do anything for anybody, even if I wanted to, because I couldn't, because I was just taken down that much. And that's something that's very real about this too, that, you turn around and you do things and you say, oh, I got this beat, and then you get attachment to you. It happens to everybody. You got to be extremely careful what you're doing. Don't do anything half-cocked, and I admit that I did it half-cocked. I paid the price for it, and that's something else that you got to be aware of. And when you start getting the bad stuff, you got to be on your toes, man. You got to be on your toes, and you got to be ready to roll.
Yeah, because these things will also, like I said, they know when you're coming, and what they're going to do is they're going to start working at you, and Bill, this could have been part of what happened. Is this thing actually gave you a sense of confidence in there. And, when you have that sense of confidence and you're going into someplace, it's good to be confident. But you know what? And it's good to also expect the unexpected, too. Because
that's true. That's true. Like I said, I went in half-cocked. You know what I mean? I'm Bill Freeman. I'm the best around. And it was, and like I said, my ego got in my way. You know what I mean? And I admit it. It happens to the best of us. But all I turned around and did was, now since I'm back together again, It will never happen again. You know, there was a lesson to be learned there. Brother, put yourself in check.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, I put myself in check. It happens to the best of us.
Right.
Well, Dominic, I'm curious about what you said with the working on you ahead of time. I know I've shared this story. Some of the listeners have heard this before, but I don't think I've ever told you this. This always made me wonder, and unfortunately they canceled, so I have no idea about. We had gotten an email and had a investigation scheduled. I'm going to say it was like around May time frame of last year, and almost to the day it was scheduled, started having dreams that fortunately I've never had before and certainly aren't right, like coming home and finding your family all chopped up and, you know, just very graphic, very violent, awful, awful, awful dreams. Every night, ironically, until the family canceled the investigation, and then the dreams stopped. So I've always wondered in the back of my head if that was, you know, something sending things ahead of time. Now, we didn't back out of it, and I didn't, you know, I haven't heard anything about what happened after that or not, but it correlated exactly with when we had this investigation scheduled to come out and check out this person's house.
Oh, I completely believe that was probably something that was working on you. A lot of times, and this is going to sound funny to people, is a lot of times after the first initial phone interview I do with somebody, I will say we're only going to communicate by text from now on, because I don't want anything overhearing our conversation. Okay, and trying to start to do that type of thing. I mean, I go back to the Warrens. You know, they've had. You know, they would say stuff about how they would have car problems, they would have this, they would have that, things that would try to do what they were doing. I've had goofy things happen where it's, you know, it's like the day of, and it happens that I have to take care of, you know, and you know, it's trying to keep you from doing this type of work. You know, the enemy is strong, they're devious, and they're cunning. And unless you're willing to admit that and be willing to deal with that, it's a tough. You know, you shouldn't be doing this. And I honestly believe that, yeah, those dreams were definitely probably something that was trying to either frighten you off or put you in a mindset where you can't be 100% focused.
It was definitely a weird experience. One thing, actually, this is kind of a two-part question for both of you here, but obviously you've both had a lot of experience with a lot of these types of cases. We've already talked about the Ouija board. I was just curious, for anyone out there listening that maybe isn't investigating, just kind of out there listening in, any common things that you've seen from these types of experiences where these infestations occur that the homeowners or the residents there have done action-wise that may attract this type of activity? I know we already talked about the Ouija boards. I wasn't sure if you've seen any other kind of common threads between what might attract this type of activity.
Seances, people try to do seances, you know, a couple things like that, but most of the time, you know, on my personal thing onto it, not really. It's usually something that's went on that just, you know, it's not something that anybody actually did. It could be where the house was built at. It could have been something that was there a long time ago. There's portholes that are all over the place. You know, you never know where a porthole's going to be at. That turns around and slides them in. I mean, my personal feeling is I don't think there's anything that anybody's really ever done to turn around and brought it upon themselves. It just happens. one thing that when you were talking about having those malevolent dreams and things like that, and like Dom was saying, they know that you're coming. This is something new for Tracy and Dom that I don't think I've ever disclosed with anybody, as we talked. From an initial contact, and if you know it's going to be something that's going to be on like a benevolent type of warning onto it, there is something you could do to stop that. I've never talked about it with you guys before about it. So here's going to be a lesson for the night for you. When you have a first contact, and like Don was saying that they know you're coming and things like that, there's things that you could do to protect yourself from turning around and doing that. And there's a thing that you could turn around and do so this malevolence or whatever it is, they have a feeling that you're coming, but they never know we're going to come. And that's a form of protection that you put on yourself. There's a couple of things that you can turn around and do, like if you burn, like a sage, you burn a sage and maybe some myrtle and some dragon's blood. You burn them together, and while you're doing it, cover yourself with the smoke onto it. Close your eyes and do, like, say you go into a full meditation, but visualize a brick wall being built around you. Visualize a brick wall being built around you, and just keep it going and going and going, and do it for a good 5 to 10 minutes. Feel that, by the time you open your eyes back up, that wall is the solidest wall that any, the nuclear bomb couldn't blow it down. That's going to protect you from having those type of dreams. That's going to protect you against whatever entity is that you're coming to. It's going to protect you. You just took away the energy for them. You protected yourself, and now you took the energy away from them. You just cut them off from any kind of mental attachment of knowing that you're coming and what you turn around and doing. So you just turn around and you just put a protection up on yourself where they can't get into your psyche. They can't get into, just like you were saying about having these malevolent dreams and things like that. That will stop that. Where they can't play the head games that they're known for doing. So there's a new lesson for you, fellas.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, and to kind of go along with Bill, it's like, common thread, no, but we've had a couple of cases where people have been actually cursed by somebody else, and that was primarily the problem. Was first off finding out they were cursed, and then doing the appropriate things to break the curse from.
Don, that's a whole different ballgame than dealing with like possessions and dealing with that.
Right.
Going through curses, that's something completely different.
Yeah, that was a lot different than what I was normally we've done as a team, but things have turned out all right for this person, and I was glad we actually found in his attic a candle that was burned and some writing and stuff like that. So there was obviously some sort of ritual performed up there by the person. That's getting a whole different. That's getting a whole different topic. That's something that that's something completely different. You know what I mean? You and me have obviously talked about, dealing with doing hexes and curses and turn around and do things like that. That's something else that I deal with. And as we turn around talking about that, I got to call Cindy up and apologize to her. I forgot all about her friend until you just said it, and I said, oh, shit, So I'll give Cindy a call about that. And, it's something I feel horrible now. That she did contact about it, and I dropped the ball on it. I'm glad you brought it up because now my mind's been refreshed on it. Well,
but when you start getting into hexes and curses, that's something that's completely different.
Yeah, that was I know the case that you're speaking of. This was not that case. This was something else. Give her a call. She'd probably like to hear from you. I know that, you know.
Okay.
You know, so, but yeah, you know, there's a lot of different reasons that things happen. You know, you don't know. We're dealing with stuff that is very ancient, very, you know.
That's the beginning of time. Yeah, it's life involves, you know, I call it the yin yang factor. You know, I mean, everything has to be in balance. You have to have the same amount of balance as positive as you do negative. You know, but the balance has got to be set there. You know, and then when you're talking about, like, you know, when we're dealing with, you know, nasties and we're dealing with demonic, you know, there's an offset of the yin yang, of the positive and the negative. You know what I mean? There has to be some amount of negative along with the positive. You know, that must make the world go around. That's what make us who we are. You have to put it back into balance, and that's what we're here for. We put it back into balance. So
we're balancers.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. The second part of that question is for some of the people that are out here that maybe are just starting, or like you mentioned, you know, you could be 10 years before you run into something like this, could be 5 years, could be 15. What would be, based on your experiences, some of the things that should be red flags? I mean, I know there's some of the obvious ones that we talk about with, like, the smells, and obviously if somebody's getting launched across a room, but maybe some more subtle things as well that people might not be aware of that would be kind of red flags that there may be more to this haunting than it might appear. Because as you mentioned earlier, they're deceptive. I always tell people, you know, that little girl's voice you're picking up could be something 9 feet tall with horns and a tail, because it's amazing some of the things I've seen people do when they thought they were dealing with a little kid. So any thoughts or advice on that?
That's like the number one thing. Anytime where you hear there's a kid involved into it, that's a red flag. That's a real big red flag. Yeah, because again, it's you know, it's trust. They you know, demonic and evil cannot really do anything unless you give it power. And the way you give it power is to put trust into it. You know, so the first thing, like, you know, anytime that you hear there's a kid involved, that's a red flag. Sometimes, like the smell, smell does come into play onto it. They talk about sulfur. You will get a real slight hint of sulfur. Sometimes you get a pneumonia smell. You know, they're kind of signs that you start thinking, you know, there may be a little bit more to this than just a simple haunting. You know, a growl. A growl could be, you know, another thing that maybe you might not want to be doing that investigation unless you're willing to deal with something big. There's been talk about, you know, black shadow and red eyes. You know, you start seeing black shadows, especially the broad-rimmed man shadow person. That may be something you want to turn around and start thinking about. You know, where am I getting into before you really get into it and start stirring it up and then start giving energy to it. The other thing is when you're doing it, as soon as fear starts hitting you, step away from it, because fear is another fuel that turns around and gives it to them. Fear is like putting gasoline in a car. You may want to step away from something like that. And that's feeding energy to it. So there are a couple of things on my side of it that put red flags up.
Yeah,
Dominic, how about you?
Those are great things. Trust your gut. If something doesn't seem right to you, trust your feelings. Also, things that are repetitive in groups of threes. That is something that can sometimes indicate the demonic because the groupings of 3 is a mockery of the Holy Trinity. You know, a lot of times the demonic or the evil entity will be trying to mock the Holy Trinity. Like I say, oh, can you knock for us? And you go like 1, 2, and then you got to knock up 3 times back. You know, kind of keep an eye on that. You know, keep an eye on things that occur in 3s. Scratches that occur in 3s. Or scratches that, somebody gets scratched out. You look at their back and they got a scratch, and then 10 minutes later you look back and there's nothing there. Rapidly healing scratches, stuff like that. That's usually more along the lines of like a demonic attack or something like that. A lot of times you look and, we'll try to determine, somebody says, oh, take a look at these scratches on my back for me. I sent you a picture this morning. I took a picture of them, and I'm sending them to you, and you ask, when did this happen? Oh, 5, 6 days ago. Probably not the demonic type of thing. I mean, it's not completely out of the question, but demonic types of attacks, like the scratches and stuff, tend to heal very quickly. And it disappears, especially if you pour like holy water or something out. But Bill covered so many of the truth. And another thing, the smell of excrement too. I mean, that's a good sign that you're dealing with something. Or if you bring in a blessed or holy object into the house, if you have a blessed medal or something like that, and there should be a reaction if there's a demonic presence. It may be something gets moved or thrown or broken, or it may send the person may say, that you may have the oppression or whatever, may start to get agitated. Those are signs too. So you've got to keep those in mind.
Interesting. Well, I've loaded these for later or extra time here, but I want to get your thoughts on this then, because speaking of the child, this is one that I'm actually still currently working on, and this just kind of raised a red flag with me, and I wanted to play this tonight and get people's thoughts. We had Luann Jolly on last year, and she was talking about how she runs some of her EVPs forwards and backwards and getting different messages. I will say at this location, I was doing a spirit box and using George's technique, use odd trigger words. And so in this case, I used the word pumpernickel and got the same voice saying, "Pumpernickel, where's the bread?" which is a little girl. But the thing that struck me odd in this, and hopefully these come through, I'm going to play these forwards and backwards. And what's weird about this is you'll obviously be able to hear other words on the forward, and you'll get to hear the weird, when it's going backwards. But the girl saying mommy is the same on both, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. So here's, I'm going to play them really quick. It's only like 6 seconds. Hopefully it comes through well. It's sometimes harder to hear on the phone, so we'll do try and error here. But this is mommy going forward. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's mommy, and then there's another voice that comes through saying, "Please don't." Now you'll hear this one. You'll hear like a boop, 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 but the mommy will be the same.
Yeah,
I've never had that happen before. I just wanted to get your thought. And there's some other things that that I'm dealing with this one that just have me wondering. And so this was the first thing that kind of just was a red flag with me. I just wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on that.
My initial reaction to it was it bothers me a little bit. It would concern me. that's based on nothing but the feeling that I got when I listened to it. You know, and I've learned that I should trust my feelings when I you know, initially hear something or experience something. But I'll be honest with you, I did not like that. You know.
Okay.
I agree with Dom on that. That to me, that was something I personally would have real high concerns about. I had some real high concerns about that, because even though the background noise into it, I don't know. Again, like listen to it on the phone. I'm not hearing it all that clear, but it sounds like there's something else in the background, even behind her mommy. Is there something else back behind that you couldn't make out?
There may have been more. I mean, it was the spirit box going, so there's a lot of other noises going along with that. I can actually send you the clip so that you can hear it better.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that a little closer. That's definitely a red flag to me. That's the same thing. A chill went down my left arm when I heard it. Both times onto it.
I'll just add quick too. This is the first. That was from the first time I was there, and this is one that's ongoing. This is something that there've been cleansing there. There's been actually I got brought in after it was actually for years. This has been off and on. So and there's aspects of it that have been sitting well with me. So go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. When you do a cleansing, what are you cleansing with?
I did not do the cleansing. They had people come in and do cleansings there. The one where it worked, and it actually, I shouldn't say worked. It seemed to make things better. For a decent amount of time, the individual used sage salt and holy water, and I believe it was. We've always tried to match where their the beliefs of the homeowners with the the beliefs of who's coming in to do the cleansing. This was a little bit of a harder match because more in the kind of agnostic area, so it's hard to get an exact match on that. But I believe, actually, I'm not even sure of the guy's specific background on it, but I believe it was similar to what you were saying about a kind of a self-charged or some type of ritual on the holy water piece. It wouldn't be a Catholic one like Dom's talking about.
Okay, because I mean that when it comes down to cleansings, we've talked about this before. Salt is good, sage is good, holy water is good, but sometimes you got to add more to it. Sage is a cleanser. I mean, it's good for mellowing out negative stuff into it, but it's not real good at removing. Salt is a good purifier on things, but sometimes you need a little bit more than what's going on with that. That's where like black salt and cedar comes in. I mean, which other faiths you turn around and go to, cedar is something that's an awesome cleanser. Along with myrtle and along with dragon's blood are really good cleansers. I mean, if the house was cleansed and you're still getting activity into it, there's got to be another direction to go with it. There's got to be a little bit more. You got to get into a little bit deeper than the basic like house cleansings.
Okay, that makes sense. Go ahead, Dominic. Sorry.
I was going to say that clip made the hair on my neck stand up. It sounded to us. I'd like to listen to it because I don't want to make any assumptions until I hear exactly what it was. But there are other things you can do too, and blessed oil is good too. I mean, you can use some blessed oil, and you can surround doorways with it, and it will help shield the home a little bit too. The the only thing I would say is that, Bill, you want this thing to be able to get out. So you don't want to seal and do anything kind of that would, seal the hole until you're sure this thing is gone.
Right. Right. Well, I can offline here share some more stuff with you on this one, because it is one that has certainly been a little troubling. The other odd thing is that same little girl. I was at this location 3 times, twice investigating. The third time I was just kind of eyes and ears when they were doing the ritual, just to see if I was seeing anything. But what's interesting is I picked up the girl both times, and there's an angry guy towards me. I mean, lots of expletives seem to be directed towards me, and that got picked up both times. So it was really kind of odd that the same little mommy, voice came through on both occasions. So
that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. And then you get an angry voice telling all kinds of, male voice coming on top of that and throwing expletives at you. That's a good one. That's the ones I usually get.
Yeah.
I have a lot. I have some more info that again, offline. I'll get your Dominic. I have your info. I'll get yours, Bill, and then I'll share some more info from you, because any help or insight onto this I would appreciate. But I just started automatically playing the kids' voices in reverse ever since the show we did last Halloween. Basically said a very similar thing, Bill, about they always have red flags when they hear kids, and so they always play their kids' EVPs backwards to see what they get. And it was just odd that I've gotten different phrases before, but I'm never sure if it's just a matrixing piece or not. But this one, you can't matrix the same word frontwards and backwards. At least not.
No, you can't.
Not mommy.
You can't.
So it's weird. So very interesting.
Very interesting.
Tracy, I've occupied a lot of the time here. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to jump in on or ask as we're winding down here.
Tracy always has something for us.
Yeah, come on, Tracy.
It's funny. I got to add real quick. I always tell Tracy I won't put him on the spot, and I do it every week anyway, so I apologize.
It's good to put Tracy on the spot, because he's real good at putting us on the spot. So if I get to put Tracy on the spot, that's a good thing. I love you, buddy.
When being on Matt's show, it's one thing I've learned is I have to be prepared. So I'm not going to allow Matt to put me on the spot anymore, because I'm going to be ready.
When are you ready, Tracy?
Well, it's that fine line. It's that fine line between not wanting to put you on the spot, but not wanting to hog talking the whole time anyway. So I just wanted to bring you in here. So
I got you. But one of the things I read, and I read it more than one place, it is some people's opinions, and I'd like to get your guys' opinions, or your thoughts, that actually not all demons are evil, and they don't all have ill intent toward everybody. But the one thing I found interesting about this read was that they were saying that some of them just merely set out to use a human's body to either hide or rest. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe that mainly the demons are fallen angels. Okay? That when they were cast out of heaven, mainly demons were fallen angels. Now, there are also other forms of demons. I don't believe that there are good demons, just because the good and demon does not seem like it would match up into the thing, and if there should be some other name for this type of entity or something like that. If it's good, and if they're out to occupy a human body, then that's not good. I mean, that's not, you wouldn't want to share your body with some other entity or something like that. I don't know. What do you think, Bill? It just doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah. When you turn around, you look at things in a whole scope, and you turn around and you hear things of that nature, where all demons are really demonic and things like that. They are. It may not be. You turn around, you look at our mass universe. You just look at Earth. You turn around, you look at things. Even though it's demonic, and you hear that it just might be looking for something to possession, to hide, or to rest, or something like that. Again, it's a deceiver, and they all are deceivers. It may not be something that's attacking, say, something human form, but you turn around and you look at some mass wildfires. There's no explanation how they got started. You turn around and you look at where crops have been destroyed, and there's no reason for it. You turn around and you look at animals that have died, and there's no apparent cause for it. There's more to it than just like we turn around and we hear about the human form of demonic possessions, demonic hauntings, and things of that nature. But there's other things that go on that people just push off as, well, it's unexplained. Well, it's unexplained because, again, it comes into, there's things in this universe that just aren't nice. They may not have enough strength to come after us, but they have the strength to go after an animal. They have the strength to go after agriculture, and do things. You turn around, you look at, like some of the mass diseases that end up in, like, poultry and things like that. You can have the cleanest place in the world, and next thing you know, the poultry's all diseased. It's no different in their world as it is in our world. But our world is that we know it, we can battle it. Their world, there's nothing there for them. So, it's mass catastrophe. And remember, demonic is all about disruption and catastrophe. So if you turn around and you say that a demonic may not be, it's not an evil demonic, well, can't say that. Just because it's not attacking us, what's it doing to the rest of to the rest of the world? What's it doing to the animals? What's it doing to the agriculture? There's more to it than just saying it's something that's attacking human beings. There's nothing written that says that a demonic cannot turn around and disrupt world, in other ways. So saying that it's not evil, it's not this, I don't buy it. There's too many other things that go by with it. And if you have that mindset that you have something demonic and it's not evil, then if it's not evil, then it's not demonic.
I would agree. It sounds like sounds almost like nice deception PR to get people to think this thing isn't so bad.
Yeah,
like I said, like we said, it's all about deception.
Right, and Nick and Bill was talking about the poultry. Do you think like the poultry's devil is Colonel Sanders or something like that? I don't know. Something goofy off the top of my head there. But no, I agree with Bill like that. There's things will attack. These things are just programmed to disrupt, and what they do is they find anything that's good and pure and everything. They find that distasteful. They find that horrible. They want to ruin that. That's what their mission is. Anything good, they want to ruin. Anything pure, they want to defile. That's why these things are what they are. We're not talking about a disgruntled guy or somebody, a jackass when he was alive haunting a house. We are talking about a thing that could be thousands of years old, that is programmed for basically nothing but hate and destruction. And that's what you've got to be careful about and what you have to be prepared to deal with. And you got to be, some people are more prepared than others. I'm sure, I've consulted Bill many times, and I'm sure there's going to be many, many more times I'm going to be consulting him. So keep your phone on, okay?
That's always one. You know that.
I know that.
There was one more thing I think we should clear up on this too. I know what show tonight's all about, the nasty and demonic. But I don't put false fear out there saying that everything out there is demonic. Demonic hauntings are very, very rare. You know what I mean? It seems to be, you hear that it's supposed to be more active than it's ever been. Tracy and Don, I've talked to you guys about that before. I don't think it's any more active than it's ever been. I just think it's been more, more acceptable now. From again, where the TV shows, the one positive thing they did was bring the paranormal more out to light and to where it goes off onto. Not everything is demonic, and I want to stress that. Not everything that we turn around and do is demonic. We have some bad cases where it just something that's just pissed off. Again, you say Uncle George was the meanest bastard ever walked the face of the earth. Well, he doesn't change when he dies. You know what I mean? We have to change him when he dies. You have to make him move on to get out to where he's at for him too. That's just somebody who's just nasty in life and nasty after life. Demonic hauntings are very, very, very rare. A true demonic haunting is very, very, very rare. But when they do happen, it's major. It's not something that you just turn around and push off to the side. Anytime there is something that's demonic, it's a major thing. Just like The Conjuring, when they put that movie out there, that's one case they dealt with. When you talk to Lorraine says she's been involved in, a few demonics, where the exorcisms done and possessions were done. But even at the possessions, when they talk about it, it's not a demonic possession. It's not all about demonic. And sometimes I get a little frustrated when everybody says, "Oh, it's demonic, it's demonic, it's demonic." Demonic possessions and demonic hauntings are not an everyday occurrence. They are not an everyday occurrence, and they are very few and far in between. And like I said, I've been doing this for 40-some years. I know of 3 cases that I've dealt with that were true demonic. Out of the hundreds that I've done, there's only 3 that I've been aware of that I've done myself that were truly demonic. There were a couple other teams I've helped out with when it was nasty. There's other things that are out there like these little gremlin type of little peons that just are just total chaos. And you deal with them. So that's I just wanted to make that clear that just let everybody know that it's not always about demonic. So.
Right, and all the cases that I've dealt with and everything like that, 1, maybe 2, I would say, demonic. I know 1 for sure was, but it's so rare. But you have to be prepared, and like Bill said, there are non-human entities that are evil, but they're not demons. Or that they are just nasty little rats that want to just cause, like Bill said, chaos and disrupt life and everything like that. And that's a lot more prevalent than a truly demonic haunting is going to be. There's groups out there that are never, ever, ever going to come across a truly demonic haunting. And thank God they're not going to come across it because, it's very difficult difficult. And like Bill said, when you're done, you're beat up. You're sitting there. You're licking your wounds for quite a while.
Wow. Well, very, very, very good point. And I certainly didn't mean to make this come across like it was all,
You didn't. Yeah,
you didn't. I just want to clear the air up that because we're it's a good thing, and I'm glad that we're doing this. That we get to have a discussion about it. But on the same token, too, I don't want people getting the wrong idea saying, well, everything is demonic. Yeah, that's the only thing I was. I didn't mean to mean anything other than just we're talking about it tonight. We've dealt with it tonight. You got two guys who've had dealt with it tonight. And we both have knowledge of what's going on to it. And the thing that we want to do tonight is just educate some people about, it is real. It's not something that's written in fairy tales and storybooks. It's something that is very, very real. And you have to know it. You got to be prepared for it. And like I said, there's an investigator that's out there that you may even know who he was, that got involved with things and turned around and made a couple comments about things, and then next thing you know, he got involved in one, and it damn near killed him. And a fear factor came across onto him that I call him and says, Bill, said just relax, brother. It happens. Don't think that it won't happen. It will happen. When people say, I can't believe something can pick you up and slam you into a wall. I can't believe something can break your ribs. I can't believe something throw you down a set of steps. I can't believe that something picked up a pipe and smacked you in the back with it. These are all things that have happened to me. It's happened to me. I've been it's things it's things like that you're going to get hurt. And you better be prepared, and you better understand it. That it's not all Casper. It's great to turn around and get a voice say, "Hi, how are you?" Flowers, and doing that kind of things. It's nice to have those Casper type things going off onto it, and that's more prevalent than dealing with anything negative or evil. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, but most of the nasty cases are the cases that I turn around and get. Because I know how to deal with them, I know how to handle them. I had the mindset of going in and taking that battle on. I have no problem jumping into the front like that. Like I told Tracy, I told Dom, I said it would be nice to turn around and get a Casper type point where I don't have to, get myself all beat up and banged up and charge up to sit down and have pleasant conversation.
Right. And there was nothing that you guys said that were making it sound like everything is demonic. And what we're trying to do is we're not trying to come off as some demonic, because it's not. And it's very few, very far between. Most of the time, and like Bill, I get contacted more for negative cases. And it just seems that's the way it happens. I get calls. I've gotten calls from, I'm here in Pennsylvania at 3 a.m. from Iowa, saying, I can't take a minute in this house anymore. This is happening. And I'm like, well, that's where we have the NPA and stuff like that we try to find groups that will help people and are qualified to help people that need to be helped. But, it just so happens that maybe, that I was called to do this and that, I get the negative cases because I'm supposed to, and if that's what's supposed to happen, if that's my path, then who am I to say no to it, And I'm lucky that I've had somebody to teach me a lot of what I do, like Bill, somebody like Bill to teach me a lot of what I know, and I've I've sat there and I've delved into the books and the the different accounts and theologies and stuff like that, and it's it's a matter of preparation. You just got to prepare for any eventuality.
Makes sense. As we wrap up here, and any last words of advice for anyone out there in terms of that's going into investigating and just in general for investigators out there? And I'm not sure why I'm getting that weird feedback, so I apologize.
I would say just be careful of what you're doing and realize that, whatever you do, there's going to be a consequence, and you don't want to be the type of people that are going to stir something up and then just leave people high and dry. Learn about what you're doing, learn about the possible effects of what you're doing and everything like that, and be there to help people. You got to realize the clients are why we're doing this, and sure, we want to learn about the scientific side of it and everything like that, and we want to be the first person to sit down with a ghost for an hour and interview them, and everything like that, which would be fantastic. But you got to remember, you're dealing with a lot of times frightened people that are at their last rope, and that's why they've finally made the call, and they've finally gotten a hold of you, and that's why you have to set an example for the entire paranormal community. You have to set, if you're going to start this and do this, you've got to commit to it and hold and try to be the sterling standard for people, so they don't sit there and say, oh, well, I called this group and they were just, jerks and goofing around and stuff like that. You got to realize, it's, you want to be the type of group that, if you, it's like I know Tracy's group, and I know your group, and I know Bill's group. If my mom and dad were having problems, I would wholeheartedly recommend you guys, and I know that they'd be in great hands because I know that's the type of values you guys have. And that's what that's what the paranormal community needs is teams that have those types of values.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And my ad would be, teams that are out, don't be afraid to ask for help. It's like I said, as many years as I've been doing this, I'm not a real big fan of titles. I've been called a demonologist, I'm called, whatever. I'm not a real big fan of titles, and I don't like the word ghost hunter. I don't believe people should be walk themselves out as a ghost hunter because we're not strapping a 30-30 on it back and looking for that 10-point buck. That's not what this is about. We are investigators. Go in with the mindset that, things happen. Chances are that, most teams will not run into anything really malevolent, or really demonic or anything like that. But if you do run into a case where, you feel you're over your head on it, do not bail out and run away and leave people standing there stranded. Ask for help. We have Dominic, you have, me, you have the whole NTA network that you go through. Ask for help. The worst thing you can turn around and do is be the weekend warrior, go out, play around some house, stir something up, piss it off, leave, and say, well, I don't know what to do, and bail on something. Don't do it. If that's what you're going to try to get into this for is, the thrill of being a ghost hunter, don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it, because all you're going to do is create more problems.
Well, great advice, and thank you very much for coming on. I know we've gone a little long here, but I booked extra time because just as a Halloween treat. I was going to cover some old audio clips from past investigations for a little while here, see how long that goes. So, Bill and Dominic, you're more than welcome to stay on with us, but I didn't want to impose on you the extra time, so I'll leave it up to you and your schedules here. But thank you very much for the feedback. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, Matt. I really appreciate being on. I love being on. And Tracy, it's great to talk to you again. Bill, it's been great to talk to you again. But I got to get up damn early o'clock tomorrow. So I'm going to take a skip out on you guys. And hey, happy Halloween, everybody. And, like Bill said, that's a great point. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you don't know what to do, and don't just go off the cuff and just try something, because that could really backfire on you. But and let any of us know if you need help or have questions, and any of us would be happy to answer them. So you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you very much.
All
right. Good night.
All right, good night, Dominic. I want to hang out because I want to hear these. So if you don't mind,
Okay.
I'll just sit back on the side and check them out.
Oh, no problem. And just for anyone, 'cause I know we had some people who normally, because it's just this time of year, that normally don't listen in, just a little bit of advice. If you're home with your computer and you have access to headphones, it is always easier to hear on headphones, and probably second to that would be on your computer speakers, and the worst is on a phone. So your three people on the show here are at a disadvantage, or at least two. I at least know what I at least think I'm hearing. First one I'll bring up here. It's interesting. This was the one I had talked about earlier in the night, where the lady was launched down the hallway, and this was one where this is the one where I said that if they were all like this, I probably would stop doing it, just because this was a very stressful one. But again, it was my first one that kind of fit into this kind of category. Much what I think Dominic was describing earlier, the reports of a dark shadow with, I believe they were describing the eyes as orange, that would just stand up, kind of out of the shadows, spook them, physical attacks, things along that line. What was odd was we made sure we never would split up. I'd be walking down the hall on the second floor of this house and hear my name being called from different rooms, or like a hey. We went up into the attic, heard a woman's voice from the back of the attic say my name several times. Just odd things like this. But the story behind this audio, and I hope it comes through good, because it's kind of has a hissy nature to it. But what's interesting on this, I didn't realize until I heard the whole recording, there was a storm that hit right when we got there. And me and another member of my team went out to the car to get something, and another member of my team was in with the homeowner. And the homeowner said that she wants to make sure everybody takes their shoes off, because she wants to make sure no mud gets into the house, and the boys don't wipe their feet. Those boys, and she kept referring to us as the boys. Well, later on, the homeowner and the other member of our team went outside to have a smoke, and so me and the other guy on my team were sitting in the living room, and this recorder was in the kitchen, and I picked this up. Hopefully you guys can hear it. The drill I usually do from this is I will play it once the regular way, and then I'll either go up or down on volume depending on how it sounds. So here we go. It's got a very hissing nature to it, though, so see if you can make it out. I believe it's 3 words. Okay, let me turn it down a little bit, because you hear us talking in the living room. It's at the end. It kind of came through loud there. I'm going to try this again. I'm not sure again how well this is going to work. Tracy, can you make it out?
I can't make it out at all. It may just be my phone. I'm hearing it on the phone.
No, this is that's why I hesitated on this one, but I think it's really good. It's just it's hard to come through. Could you pick up the voice at all, Bill?
Yes.
Could you make any of it out?
I couldn't really make it out, but I could definitely hear it. It's a very deep voice. I can't understand what it's saying. Jen's listening to it. My wife's on the computer.
Okay.
So she sketches. She says, "Wow, that was really freaky." I said, "Yeah, it does sound freaky."
Well, this is what struck me on this is I believe it says go, and it's like kind of strong. It's like go home, boys, which struck me because I didn't know until I heard the recorder that the homeowner was saying the boys, and we're the two in here. So I'm going to play it again, see if you guys can make it out. It's at the end of this. It's kind of, again, it kind of has like a hiss to it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, since you said it that way, definitely heard it.
Yep, I got it now.
One of the other weird things, I cannot prove anything to this. It was just odd. There were reports of this black figure kind of standing on the stairs and watching them. So, they'd just be like in the living room or something, and this thing would be at the stairs. So I just set one of the recorders on the stairs, and, we were there probably like 4 or 5 hours. There's about a 20-minute section, and I've never had this happen on any of my other investigations, where there is just this bizarre electrical interference noise.
Let me ask you a question. You said there's a black malevolent figure into it. When you talk about a black figure, are we talking shadow person?
No, I did not see this. The way they were describing it was not the same as what I would call a shadow person. They were saying this was totally black, even if the room had light in it, and it had, I believe it was orange eyes.
It's interesting.
But this was one that, despite it was it was intense while we were there. I was certainly concerned that this may have been our first, one in this realm. Turned out that unlike some of these other ones I talked about, it resolved. They had somebody come out again, kind of aligned with their faith, and it ended. So I'm a little surprised. Another funny story about this is this was my biggest dude run moment because, again, intense feel in this place, stories of people getting attacked, this, total black figure. The family didn't tell me they had a black cat, so we're up in the one bedroom, and they're telling the clients telling us, or the homeowners telling us the stories about the place, and the cat, almost on cue, just comes out from under the bed real slow, like over my foot. So I'm just seeing out of the corner of my eye this black thing coming out. Now I will say I didn't yell, I didn't do anything, but it's like my heart stopped for a second when I realized it was a cat. I was like, oh. So I'm sure the look on my face was something else. That's my biggest dude run moment. Again, I'll just go into the next one here. I'm just trying to get what I try to do here is just pick some that were just kind of in the freaky or creepy category. This was one that really surprised me. I was going through Spirit Box, and this again was a private home. Interesting claims here and things. What struck me, and hopefully this comes through, was this is a very low, almost like if somebody was trying to joke around like we do with our monster promos here with like a really low voice. Comes through very, very, very low voice. 2 words. One I think's one you can't say on regular radio. So see if this comes. If you guys can hear this, it's very low. But again, this is Spirit Box. There's going to be a lot of noise with it. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. Okay. All right, let me try turning it down. I could hear it, but I know what I'm listening for. Again, low voice, 2 words. either of you hear it?
No.
It sounded like I heard the F-bomb come through.
Yeah.
The other word.
Yeah, I think the word before it's weak.
Yes.
I hear it now.
Yeah. The F word, I heard no problem. There was a word before it that I was having a hard time with, but you said weak, man. Yeah, it comes across that way.
Yeah, and it's just this one I just flat. I mean, this certainly isn't the first. I get the F-bomb thrown at me a lot. Seems to be, and I do not provoke. I actually have a pretty I think mellow style, but it seems to come my way. So this just struck me because of how low the voice was. So I'll do it one more time for the people listening in.
Yeah.
Just odd in how low that was.
But the
Next
F-bomb is real clear. The F-bomb's real clear on that one.
yeah. This I just found interesting. This was actually we had Port City on a couple weeks ago, and they do a lot of work with Battleship North Carolina, and this was on the in the officers area of Battleship North Carolina. Just surprised to get this. Not particularly creepy. I just find it kind of interesting, and again, it's another me being called not a nice name again. So here we go with this one. And again, that was pretty short, so let me do it again. You hear that one, Tracy?
Can you turn it up? Can you turn it up?
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear me walking towards the end. Those are my footsteps. But
okay.
Bill, did you hear that one?
It sounded like, did I hear the word bitch in there?
I actually thought it was, and audience out there, excuse it, but I actually, I think it says "get off of me, dick," is what I think.
Okay, okay. Let me hear it again because it sounded more like it was the female dog.
It very well could be. It's.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it now.
Yeah, that's how I heard it.
So, and I'm not sure because you're hearing my footsteps at the end. I'm not sure. That could distort it either way, make it sound, more like the CH at the end or the K. I'm not sure.
Right.
So. So let's see here.
But that's pretty funny.
Oh, it's I've just gotten used to it. It's actually funny. Out of our team, we've talked before about kind of magnets and wet blankets, and I'm a magnet. I tend to get most of the or a lot of the activity out of our group, but on almost every investigation, there's somebody calling me something. Either throwing the F-bomb my way or calling me the.
I might use it on a daily basis, especially if somebody keeps pestering me about something.
that could be. Like I said, I've always tried to be pretty respectful, but this one I love this. There really isn't anything creepy about this. I just like this. This was at Trans-Allegheny in Lily's room, and Lily has a toy box. Copperhead got her a toy box in that room, and we had a whole bunch of meters near the toys. I mean, this was a public, so there's other people in Lily's room with me while we were doing this. And so I told somebody that was over by the toy box to go ahead and get a toy out. Well, every time he touched the toy box, the meters went off around the toy box. Well, little did I know, we got a reaction when I asked him to get the toy out. So see if you can hear what sounds like what I would say a child freaking out over somebody touching their toy. So here we go.
Get a toy out. What's that?
Yeah.
I'll do it again, turning it down. Again, it's just like a hey, but it's...
Get a toy out. What's that?
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, and so it was just kind of interesting, too, because that correlated with all... People had, K2s and Mills and stuff, and they were all getting hits on it. when he touched the toy box. Then we got the
don't touch my toys.
Exactly. For some of the people that may have just, because I know we had some that just logged in, I'm going to go ahead and replay this one. Tracy and Bill have already heard this, but this was an odd one. Recent investigation I'm working on. About a year ago when we had Luann Jolly on here, she was saying about how when she gets child voices, she'll play them backwards to see if she gets anything different on it. What's odd about this one is this is on a spirit box. You'll hear a girl say mommy, but what's odd about it is both forward and in reverse, you will hear basically the same voice saying mommy. So this is the first one forward. And then this is the same one backwards. So again, just very odd. Can't explain it. Not that I. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. It's chills again.
Set the chills on again. Set the chills on again. Listen to it.
Yeah, that one is really freaky.
It's weird. I say some other ones that I have from this is very, very odd. I got that same voice going, yoo-hoo, excuse me, and I got the pumpernickel, where's the bread, and we've got a couple other mommies that I've recorded from there, but that's the only one that was the same frontwards and backwards. So just odd. All right, so this next one is George had to leave, unfortunately. This one I had in for his benefit. In Trans-Allegheny, the geriatric ward is the spot in that building that he just does not like. And interestingly enough, we ended up there the same weekend, and when he was there that Friday, he had I believe it was some sensitive with him, or he was envisioning it, or picking up something of basically a barefoot orderly or some employee there that basically, for lack of a better word, was just a pervert. So he was there, and part of his whole deal was basically molesting the patients and things in that ward. There are weird things that go on in that ward. A girl on his team got somebody breathed on her neck while she was in there when these things are going on. Well, the next day we're in there and got very strange things in that ward as well. And when we were leaving, we recorded this, which I thought was pretty interesting based on what George got the day before. So there's a lot to this. So I'll play it a couple times if we need to. Okay, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Again, there are other people talking, but there's a lot to this. I think it's about 7 or 8 words. Tracy, could you make any of that out?
No, I can't make any of that. I can hear it. I can't make it out, though.
Same thing with me.
How about you? Okay.
That's the thing. I can make it out.
Yeah, this is going to be hard on that. I'm going to try turning it up a little bit, so a little warning for everybody out there. Listen for, and I didn't get, George helped me figure this one out, but listen for, hey, little slut, you love to get spanked. And so the little slut's probably the softest of it, but just see if you can make it out.
That's what I heard. That I heard. That's how I heard it.
So
yep, I heard it.
I don't even know it's there. I'm having a hard time hearing the little slut part of it, but it's in there. So
I heard the little slut part.
All right, I have a request to play that one more time. So here we go.
You're
Now, what's interesting about that ward is consistently, and again, mental hospital, so there is a ward that's criminally insane. There's the violent male. There's the violent female. This ward is consistently reported by people about being the one that they're the most uncomfortable in, and it is basically geriatrics and the geriatric ward. Now, granted, the use has changed over time, so who knows, and it doesn't mean that they're locked into a certain location, but it is odd that that's the one that a lot of people report feeling the most uncomfortable in, and it's just interesting getting these EVPs here. Now, this isn't the last one. This is the second to last one. This one isn't particularly creepy, but Tracy, you probably heard this one already, because I've played this one a lot. This is probably my favorite EVP, but Jeff's on the chat room saying there's a lot going on in that last one. Well, nothing like this one. This was also at Trans-Allegheny. I was in the common room in the pediatrics ward. I was the only one in the entire ward. Didn't feel like there was a whole lot going on, so I guess my senses weren't very good on this, because you will hear, and they're varying volumes here, so it might be hard to pick them all up, but there's about 5 or 6 different voices all in the common room with me while I'm walking around. So here, I'll go ahead and just play this right away twice, because again, there's a lot going on here. Just realize that I'm the only one in the room, and I don't believe I talk at all in this clip, so everything here is voices that don't know where they're coming from. All right, I'm going to play it a little bit louder. Now, the other noises that you will hear in here, other than the voices, is you do hear me walking, and you hear me at the very end turn my flashlight on. But go ahead and play this again. I turned the volume up, so anyone with headphones, just be ready. One more time to help. Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, so it sounds like they're having a party.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to play it again to hear, so you guys can try to make this out. I've listened to this so many times. What's interesting is I believe it's a loud run, then get away, get out, another run, a female voice that comes through very loud saying "good job," and then the one that I think is actually kind of creepy is there's a soft voice at the end there saying "one," almost like, and again, I was the only one in the ward. I almost interpret that as how many are here, and they're saying there's one of them. So, but again, to Jeff in the chat room, it's multiple voices. Sounds male and female. So here we go again. So it's like run, get away, get out, run, good job, one.
Good job.
And then that one's at the very end. So now that was one of my. I've been to that location a ton of times, and I was hoping to get something like that again. This was in one of my very early investigations there. I've never been able to capture something like that since. So, Tracy, could you make them out?
I can't understand what they're saying, but I can definitely tell that there's definitely more than one.
And to Jeff in the chat room, yes, the room was silent. Again, I was the only one in the entire ward at that time. Now, I don't know. Maybe they were clearing the room. Maybe that's what all the, run, get away, get out. It may not have been directed towards me. They may have been clearing the room for some reason. Because after I did the initial kind of walk around the room where I'm collecting all that, I sat down for a little while, felt like there was nothing going on there, and went to another part of the building. So, not only wasn't I hearing anything, I actually thought it was pretty dead while I was there. So,
Matt, have you ever caught anything like that again in there?
That is first of all, there isn't a dead spot in that building. I've caught things in every ward in that place. And I think, depending on how you want to break it down, there's like 20, 21 different wards or areas to go into. That is a busy area. It's the common room all the way at the end of the hallway. There is a kind of a shower area across from that common room. Both those rooms are very busy. We mentioned earlier about how people act when they think they're dealing with children. On a later investigation, we were there where they were getting a girl. I want to say it was Heather. They had a name for the girl, and they're talking, and this still absolutely blows me away. But a person in the group actually invited Heather to. There was some like, Heather, sweetie, if you want to follow me around, feel free to take my hand and follow me around the building if you're lonely. And I'm like thinking to myself, first of all, we have no idea what Heather is, and second of all, for all I know, that was a couple of years ago, and Heather could still be with that person. I mean, it's just amazing to me when people let their guards down when they think they're dealing with kids. So, but anyway, this is the last one I loaded up here for the night. So, but I tried to pick one that at least made the hair on my neck stand up on this one. And this is at St. Albans in Virginia. And this is the first time we were there. It was three of us. It was very cold. It was even very cold for this part of the country. And we were up in what we were calling it the suicide floor, but basically it was a woman's ward, and there were three confirmed suicides in the one bathroom and one confirmed in the other. Now, what was odd about this was, and we've been there two other times, and this has never happened since, when we were up there, you would hear basically what sounded like the faucets turning in both of the bathrooms. You just hear, best way I can describe it is just if you have like a rusty old faucet and you turn it, it's that kind of squeaking sound. And we kept hearing it. Now, it was two boys and, or I should say two guys, me and another guy, and one female in the hallway. I don't know who this was directed towards, but I don't know. I just think it's pretty creepy. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it, see if you guys can make any of it out, and we'll build it up from there. Okay, I can tell you right now I had a hard time hearing that on the phone, so let me try dialing it down. And now I'll try turning it up. So warning to anyone with headphones, I turned it up. Okay, so I'm going to say ahead of time. I know this is kind of a tough one. So could either of you make out anything on that, or even hear any voice on that one?
Okay. I do hear
the voice, but I can't make it out.
Okay, I'm going to try this again, but what I believe it says, again, it's easier to hear not on the phone, and this is what creeped me out about it. I believe it is a female voice, and I believe it says, "Make them leave, we want you." And so you should be able to at least hear the "we want you" at the end, and "make them leave" is a little softer. Here we go. I'll turn it up a little bit. I'm hearing on the phone the "we want you" better. I'm not, the "make them leave" isn't coming through one.
Yeah, you can definitely hear "we want you."
Yeah.
So again, no idea on the context of it. Again, just creepy knowing that there were those suicides in those rooms. We were hearing the faucets turning in those rooms. For a while, the female in the group went into one of those rooms to sit. I think she was actually sitting in the room when that came through. Me and the other investigator were in the hallway. The recorder's near me. I have no idea. Did they want the two guys to leave because she was in the bathroom? Did they want one of the guys and the girl to leave? I don't know, but it was something that I just found kind of creepy.
Those were great.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, just kind of a little Halloween bonus here. I thought I'd go ahead and add those in and run a little long tonight because of the holiday. And so again, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I know, Tracy, we've talked in the past about maybe working some more of these in every now and then into some of the shows. So hopefully we'll build on that going forward.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, Bill, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, and I appreciate you sticking around to check out these clips.
Yeah, it was an awesome time. I always have a good time.
And I definitely need to get in touch with you. I'm sorry?
It's an awesome time. I always enjoy this.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, and I'll get in touch with Dominic and get or Tracy and get how to get in touch with you and send you some more of the information on that case I'm working on, because I would certainly appreciate some insight.
Not a problem. Okay, I'm going to call it a night. I got to get up early tomorrow. All right, Tracy.
All right,
have a blast, my buddy.
All right, buddy. You too, Bill.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you very much. All right, Tracy. Well, thank you for hanging on with me late tonight.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy.
And we're going to round out the evening, and we will see you all next Sunday. Between now and then, have a happy and safe Halloween, everyone. Kind of ending the theme here, I'll end with a kind of creepy song. So good night, everyone.
All right, good night, Matt.
Good night.